One, and I think we're live. Good evening, everyone. I am live with Dave Nolan of the WTC, the event organizer of the WTC, and the head of the IGA, the International Games. Um, what's the last one?
Events.
The game
IGE.
events. Yes,
Yes.
that is it. International Gaming Event.
It's new. It's new. So we're all right with making a few clerical errors on.
Right. Yeah. Right. I have this opportunity today to talk to you about ITE and about the WTC. But before I do that, for people who may not know you, should we just could you introduce yourself? Who are you? What are you for the hobby? What do you play? Game systems? Do you play bold action? All of that. Could you just say a little bit about yourself?
Of course, yes. So I'm Dave Nolan. I'm Irish. I used to play Warhammer Fantasy Battle, my initial game system. In fact, this all leads on to where we are with the IG and the WTC. I wanted to go to the ETC for Warhammer Fantasy. Knew that my play style just wasn't going to fit. I wasn't going to make the cut for either the English or the Irish team, eligible for both.
Yeah.
And then I came across Middle-earth, and I saw an avenue there. Worked hard through the systems there up until 2015, when I achieved one of my goals, which was to become third in the GBHL league, which was great.
Yep.
And that then gave me a foundation to contact people like yourself and everyone else around the world, specifically in Middle-earth, to try and get the ETC Middle-earth started. Coming back to what games I've played, I've done a little bit of dabbling in a lot of games, from
Like many of
Warlords.
us.
Yeah. Warlords Napoleonic to Mythic America, obviously X-Wing, Fantasy Battle.
Yep.
Tried AOS. I think I had 2 games and I said that was lovely. I had maybe 5 or 6 games of 40k and thought, that's very, very lovely. Yeah, let's put my models away now. And yes, I have played. I have only gone to 1 tournament in bolt action. I was basically given by Paul Walker his Dutch, and he said, give them a run. And I think I won 3 out of 5 games with them. And and that was my little cap.
That's pretty good.
I put my cap up for bold action tournaments and says yes.
You have. Right.
I've collected quite a few a number of bolt action armies, specifically focusing on the Gurkhas, but also on the German early war armored divisions and stuff like that, because I like the look of tanks. And now today I'm in Star Wars Legion, which will come into our conversation later on. Don't upset any of the bolt action players, of course, Dave. But and so I've just been to 2 tournaments. I started this 3 weeks ago. I've been to 2 tournaments so far. I came second and first in the painting tour section, and I came 5th and 3rd. In my first tournaments of the Star Wars. So I'm a bit of a competitive gamer.
Well done.
Well, thank you. I think I'm okay at most games, but I'll never be up the top in any one.
You're a dabbler. If you shift around through systems, that always means that you sort of. But then that's also quite cool, because you figure out what systems you like. You figure out what mechanics you like. You try different stuff. You build different armies. You suddenly get a huge collection. I mean, I'm in my game room right now. I have 28 armies of different types and systems. So yeah, I completely get that.
I think we all have our collections, don't we?
Yeah,
we all have our collections.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Right. So could you tell us a little bit about how the WTC got started for you?
Okay, so as I said, I wanted to get involved in the ETC. I couldn't see an avenue, so then I decided I would develop the Middle-earth ETC, total separate entity. And my very first action was to pick up the phone and phone someone in Germany and say, hello, Germany, I'm setting up this event and we have France, Spain, England, Scotland, Wales and Ireland and possibly America all tied in. And the Germans thought that was a great idea and said, yes, we'd love to. So then the next action was I picked up the phone and phoned France and said, hello, France, we're set. And you can see where the trend was going. So basically, I invited everyone under the pretext that everyone was already coming. And it worked. So we went to Hamburg in Germany for our very first event. And then we went to Cardiff. And in Cardiff, I decided I wanted to bring bolt action in because I'd played a number of games of bolt action. I saw great potential for a competitive side, but I also found it to be a beer and pretzel game as well, with a lot of tactics involved. But also, I loved the concept of pulling from a bag, you know, the dice order. And
that is the best mechanic I've yet come across in any game.
Agreed.
System, basically.
Agreed. From there then, so I set out my stall. I came onto some bolt action forums and I said, right, I'm running the World Team Championships. And let's just say that some of the messages I got back, let's just say after that comment, I didn't make an answer for 3 weeks as I saw the various, how dare you, is this warlord associated, X, Y, and Z. And then I found the one little golden nugget. Someone said, Paul Walker, do you know about this? So I thought, So I looked into who Paul was, found out that it was something he was going to do with the actual ETC. And I literally just got on Facebook Messenger, contacted Paul, and he went, in his Scottish accent, hello? I went, I'm Dave. And we spoke for, I think, nearly 2 hours. And he said, we've been trying to do this for bolt action for years. How can you just do it? And I said, something like the Field of Dreams. I'll build it and they will come. And if they don't, sod them. And he went, why didn't we just think of that attitude? So bolt action in Poland, Poznan in Poland, first came about. And so we're still under the term of ETC. And it was a fantastic event with so many mess-ups. So many mess-ups on our side due to things like DPD, which is the global sort of carrier service. They lost a couple of boxes of scenery, so it never got to Poland. And then when they sent it back, it came back looking like it had been in a rugby match of its own and lost. And we lost tons and tons of scenery due to that. But the reaction from the players there, from the bolt action side, was just tremendous and very forgiving, because I felt honored that they forgave me for all the mess ups. Aside from that, we then pushed forward to go to Cork. And unfortunately, we had our
then COVID came along and kicked everyone in the nuts.
It did, but yet everyone had bought their tickets, and for over 2 years, people trusted me with their money. Nobody asked for a refund, and it just showed that if you're upfront with people, they'll take you on face value. And so there was not, the only things I'd hide was what sort of table I'm going to put out, this sort of that. But when it comes to finance,
but you know it. We're going to have to talk about that at some point this evening.
I know. But I might lose connection before you react.
Oh, that's really bad. I can't hear you anymore. I know that one.
So continuing the story very quickly, if I can, we then went to Cork, and bolt action Cork was brilliant. We had a couple of upsets logistically from our team side of things, and it ended up poor Craig on his own, and then we were struggling with problems of not full teams dropping out in the last moment. And so for like 3 months I spent 24/7 trying to find world teams to fit the program so that we didn't have an odd number of teams. And even in Middle-earth, after all our hard work, another 4 teams dropped out.
Oh.
And then another team, and we found teams. I think France sent 5 teams eventually from Middle-earth. The thing was a success, but with its usual logistical hiccups of some people weren't overly happy with terrain, some people didn't get the food they wanted, the lunches arrived late, all of that just caused a mayhem. But we have taken on board all the feedback from people. Each hotel that we go to, each venue we go to will have its own logistical problems. We know that.
It will.
We'll try and do things, but if we can affect the feedback, we will. So going into Cork, I renamed it after speaking to Paul and Craig, the WTC, because we created a new company called International Gaming Events, of which both Paul and Craig are directors. In fact, Craig is the treasurer, finance director, and Paul is the secretary. Oh dear. Anyway.
Anyway. That is not good. Having Paul as your secretary, how could you? I mean.
But we took some learning curves from that, and we increased the teams of TOs dramatically so that each TO has up to 6 people in their team, 2 of which will stay at home for the event, but they're more list checkers and checking rules and the in-game logistics, whereas up to 4 people hopefully will be coming to Spain with us, so it won't be the TO on their own. But it also allows the flexibility, as has happened in Middle-earth, for the TO's girlfriend to say, we're going on holiday that weekend, and the TO then being able to pass responsibility onto his team, which is great.
Yeah, that is really good.
That's how we got started.
So Dave, how is this all funded? How do you get the money for all this? Is this just from ticket sales that funds everything, or are you actually looking for sponsors, or what's going on?
Okay, so a couple of different pathways we could go down with that one question. One is, just got to make sure my wife isn't around. Myself and Paul have put some money in. I've put in originally over the last number of years up to 10,000, and Paul helped buy some mats and stuff, so I think he's into just under 2,000. How do we fund it? We fund it basically at the moment from ticket sales. The thousands that we put in has literally been scenery, buying equipment for scenery, so 3D printers, the PLA and PETG reams for that, then a resin printer, the resins for that, the electricity bills, etc., etc., etc. I think I've got 60 to 80 gaming mats in the attic. I have a large shed out in the garden. I have a lean-to. Then I also have a garage, and then half of the stuff is up at Craig's. I have a very understanding wife. Yeah.
You need one.
We don't have a cash flow. We have a cash flow problem. So I worry and I panic a lot, to the point of, am I going to get return players? Will we be able to fund this? And where have we slipped up on financially? And we have had a bit of a big slip up financially on this one with Spain, which I'm quite happy to talk about later on. I don't want to get hung up on negativities. But yeah, we went to become a charity. We wrote out that, well, I wrote out the charitable application. The charity came back 2 weeks after Cork WTC and said, unfortunately, the wording wasn't correct. So we decided to take a sit back on that. And after March next year, the 3 of us are going to sit down, rewrite it all out, and still go forward to become a charity. And hopefully in that way, be able to get more funding. But we do have plans for funding, and I know we're going to talk about that later on.
Okay, Cool. So for this year in Spain, let's talk about this year.
So
Do you have any teasers you want to give people before we all get on the plane and go there? What are we going to experience?
I hope hot weather. And
Yeah.
after I managed to just persuade the Spanish that, trust me, March in Spain is hot, please open the swimming pool. So yes, guys,
Yes.
please bring your swimming trunks. They actually refused to open the swimming pool. But
Yeah,
we
yeah,
managed.
but the Spanish think that it's cold in March, okay?
Yeah, okay,
They
okay.
do.
It's Christmas time and I'm still walking around in sandals and a t-shirt.
Yep.
So yeah. So teaser wise, well, I made a deal with Paul and Craig that I would only make scenery up until the last day of this month.
Ooh, so the scenery will all be done by New Year's.
The scenery making will be done. Then I get a chance to sit down and paint it all.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
but the
So
making, yeah.
yeah, so just to kind of an insight, I've made some ruined buildings, medieval type ruined buildings, which would fit into some of the European old style
Yeah.
villages or old style mountain towns sort of stuff. Um, we're looking at incorporating, though there are no rules for them, we're looking at incorporating oh my goodness, the word's gone from me. World War One trenches. Thank you.
Ooh,
Yes, we're looking at
yeah.
incorporating trenches. I don't want to leave the screen and go away and get bits and pieces.
No, you
But
shouldn't. No.
one, yeah, because I could be gone for ages.
Yeah.
One of the things I have looked at is in Cork. I had 3D printed wooded areas with circular slots.
Yeah.
So I made a decision this year in order to ensure work efficiency, cost efficiency, etc. I would move away from 3D printing except for prototypes
Yeah.
and cast everything.
Okay.
So in the last 2 days, I've made up to 20 woods, right? And what we're going to do is that I'm going to paint them all, sand them all, and then they can be used in desert tables, which a couple of people fed back. They felt the desert tables were a bit slack. Some people fed back that they thought a lot of the tables were great, except for the last table that we set up. And so we're just going to have more bocage, going to
Yeah.
have fields, we're going to have loads of access to woods, we're going to, expand on the scenic potential. But this is where I start losing, people start sending you in negative comments, etc. I personally think that bolt action scenery should be varied, because I don't think in Tobruk they brought
No,
houses around themselves, put them up in the sand, and went, okay, we've got cover now. There were quite a few open World War II battles.
There were.
Okay.
There were.
But at the same time, if you have too much of an open tournament, you'll not keep people happy. So my drive is to have some tables. Again, this is the TO's decisions, final decisions, not mine.
Yeah.
I can only lead a little and then hope that they sometimes listen. But I'm hoping for stacked tables, average tables, and potentially one set of, I won't say bare tables.
No, but more open.
Much more open,
Yeah.
yes, than a lot of players would normally play on
Yes.
in their local tournaments. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to make list building something that they consciously think about the tables. Should I bring a Japanese force with bamboos? Yeah, by all means do. But if I get put out on the open table and I've got no cover whatsoever, the armored tank platoon is just going to say, how's your father? So I really want all the players to start, how do I say this? I want them to start thinking higher than they have, based on the fact that they could be on tables that may not necessarily be their norm, but also have tables there that are really packed with cover, line of sight blockers, etc., that an armored division wouldn't possibly now struggle because there's too much scenery.
Yeah.
So
I really like that you're saying that, because that really does encourage different types of list builds from if you're having one set of one type of terrain, which you would see in many tournaments. Although, I mean, in going to single tournaments, you typically see each table being different, right? At the WTC, you see 4 tables, so you're playing on identical tables with your whole team. But in singles tournament, you're always on a different table. Everything is different, but it's what that single table is built to be, right? So, and that sort of creates a meta for tables, and you messing a little bit with that will also give a feedback to what lists will be built. Yeah.
Yes, but I also want the TOs to be able to put up the tables and go, okay, Dave, here's 5 boxes full of scenery. We've too much already.
Yeah.
I want that to be the case where you don't come along and see the same table every year, because we've got some fantastically repeating players coming back, and it's lovely to see the community build. And a goal that I have also achieved, which was only mentioned to me so far within Middle-earth, but Middle-earth's been with us a bit longer, is the French community has exploded. They now have their own Middle-earth WTC league system specifically just for that.
Oh, Dave?
Oh, yeah, no, it's okay.
Your camera just shorted out. Yeah, go.
And Scotland, Middle-earth, who used to have 1 tournament a year and travel all over the UK to get their games in, now have 12 tournaments going, and they both have equated, partially the WTC IGE benefit, which is the goal in the first place, to build.
I feel like for many European communities, that is also a thing. We see a lot more tournaments in Denmark now after we started going to the WTC. And at many different levels. Some of them are completely casual events. Some of them are entry-level events. Some of them are competitive events. There's all kinds of different stuff going on. I think it's energized many of the systems. So I would highly encourage people to and I know for a fact that the idea, the whole concept of going to team tournaments. We had a team tournament this year in Denmark because we've been to team tournaments. I know that some of the Welsh guys are setting up a international team tournament for 3 players as well. So there's a lot of energy going around because of the WTC. That's absolutely brilliant.
And we're fully behind, because that's what we want. We want tournaments to be. We'd like a point where every community has a tournament and the players there are going, do I want to go to this one or do I go to that one? But we're going to come on to something later on, which is going to defeat the elephant in the room.
Right.
And the elephant in the room, and I mean this in the nicest way, is sometimes the woman or partner in our life can say, well, why are you going to that tournament? And hopefully the IGE is going to pop something out there that you can say, because of this. And
this is why.
Off you go.
But let's get back to that later on.
Sure.
Before we do that, who do you know who the TO teams are going to be for Bold Action and Lord of the Rings this year?
Yes. I'm going to sidetrack a little. You may notice that I'm not on the captain's room.
Yep.
The not on the captain's room is because both Craig and Paul are concerned about my health and the stress levels that I go through.
Yep.
And I can deal with the representatives. Hello, Bo.
That's me for Denmark.
But when the captains all get together,
non-stop. So many questions, so many comments, and Craig and Paul have been really good at just shutting down and saying, right, you ask a question in the captain's chat, that's it, no more comments.
So Craig is still developing his team, and this is a funny one. The biggest problem Craig has Bo is that the people he wants on his team happen to be playing in Spain.
Yeah,
Bo.
some of us happen to be. Yeah, for the viewers, Craig took me aside in Cork and said, "Could you please come and help?" And I was like, "Yes, I could. I'm going to have to ask the Danish team." And they said, "No, you can't, because we want you to captain, and we refuse to play if you don't captain." And I was like, "Yeah, and I want to be the world champion, and we haven't done that yet." So I had to turn Craig down. But I am trying to be helpful in any way I can.
Yes,
So
you are.
right.
We've got Jan, we've got
Yep.
Benny, and I think Craig may well be approaching somebody else in the near future for Spain. But we do really want a family group, TO group sort of thing going on, where all key players, in fact, our website even says, please, if you fancy volunteering, just give us a shout.
Yep.
Middle-earths, we've got Lucas from Poland. We've
Yep.
got Pierre from France. We've got, well, James Brond is the TO, but his girlfriend's dragging him away.
Oh.
We've got Will Champion, who was captain of England the year in both Poland and I think he was all, yeah, anyway, too much information.
Yep.
And we also have Ed Ball.
So that is a full team for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and we are talking about possibly the most knowledgeable rules lawyers there are, except for Jay Clare, who happens to be the captain of Team One and the rules writer of the game.
So yeah, so that's a pretty good team.
That is. Now,
do we know how many nations have signed up for each yet?
We do, and it's not that I need to go to phone.
Yep.
Oh, piece of paper. Do you know? I think we're looking at in total around somewhere between 42 and 46 teams over both systems.
Yep.
Now, Scotland unfortunately can't make it this year for bolt action.
Yep.
Which is a shame. And I just received bad news today that South Africa also cannot make it today, which was a shame. But I know that both countries definitely wanted to participate, and hopefully,
maybe it'll happen in the future again. Yeah.
It definitely will, because I'm a very persuasive person, and these are lovely people, and I want to see them again.
Yeah.
But we will have. I think it's into maybe 19 to 22 for bolt action teams this year. Now, I want to address the fact that I struggled last year with looking for world teams.
Yeah.
So a new policy we've put through is that the host nation can put forward a free team. So this team gets to play for nothing. They're all, in this case, going to be from around Granada, so they go home at night and sleep in their own bed. That helps financially, but we feed them and water them, etc. If an even number of teams turn up, then they become TO referee helpers with that team, so it expands the team and makes things a lot easier and quicker. If an uneven number turns up, then they play. I think I've lost
Dave,
you.
this, yeah.
Yeah,
Dave,
I'm
the
back.
sound just shorted out for a minute.
Where would you like me to start again from?
I've got so distracted by the sound shorting out in my end here that I simply missed out everything you said for the last minute.
Okay, so what we've done is to combat the problem we had with developing Cork and finding world teams. What we've now put in place is a new policy, and that is the host nation can put forward a free team. And that free team steps in if there's an uneven number of playing teams, and they step out if there's an even number of playing teams. They're local players.
And that's a localized, yeah.
Yeah, they're local players. They will feed them, etc. And if they don't play, then they will assist throughout the event, and that's both for Middle-earth and for bolt action, and that stops us having the world team, which is saddening in one point, but at the same time, the world team seemed to be the one team that was a little bit unreliable up until the last day. So this way we ensure that my TO team stays a team, and if we have uneven numbers, we have a local team come in. Now that local team could be people who've only just started playing, never played in tournaments, want to come along, and that's the beauty of the WTC. I have seen players who've come along to play for possibly the first time. They may not walk away with a trophy, but everyone treats them with respect, helps them out in the games, and everyone generally has a good time. Obviously, when people get to the top table in the last 2 rounds, the smiles aren't as smiley.
Then the knives come out.
Yes, but the great thing about both communities so far is that they all fight hard on the table and play well and drink well off the table. And that's
what I found as well. That one of the worries when people, and I think that was why you got all the nasty comments online, was people were worried that their laid back casual communities was all of a sudden going to be win at all cost, elbows out. I'm gonna trash you. And what I found is the most competitive players in the world are the greatest people. They're really nice people, and they're really nice to play with.
Yeah.
If you respect that you're there for that, and they're really nice to talk to outside of the game as well.
Well,
Everyone
do
is
you know
really
one of the
friendly,
reasons for that, Bo?
and
one of the reasons for that is because these poor people are hounded in their own countries, and they're not allowed to bring the armies that they want to.
Yeah.
And finally, the
Maybe.
IGE gives them a platform that can come along and play with their powerful toys. They can come along with their muscles and their brain muscles, and they can put all their energy out in a competitive tournament, and then they can go home and relax in their local club and stuff.
Yeah.
And they find like-minded people. So I suppose that's what the IGE and the WTC is all about. We want to give not necessarily a safe haven, but a relaxed area where you can bring your 17 flamers and not be judged. Can you have 17 flamers? Right. Okay.
I don't actually own 17 flamers. I don't do that. No. I play very balanced and relaxed forces.
Well, if I was in the BA tournament, I'd be bringing 17 flamers, because if they're available, why not use them? It's the only time I'm going to be allowed to, and I'll do it with a smile. But that's the whole attitude that we want to give. We want to give. It's a friendly environment, but you're not going to be judged, and that's important to us.
So going forward until we get to Granada, what are the deadlines that you're looking forward to this spring, going into the new year here?
Right. Well, because I can't sit still, I'm already thinking 5 years down along the line. Okay. I always have been.
So that's a thing.
Yeah. So I've ticked in my mind the boxes that need to be ticked. The scenery, it'll stress me, but it'll get done. The trip to Spain, because I'm driving and taking all the scenery with me, it will get done. The table hire, the hotel, looking at the food, looking at bits and pieces, they will get done after the 31st of December, when we'll have that's our deadline, when we know how many teams have paid in full, and then how many teams have paid half and are intending, and that'll give us our numbers of our teams exactly. Okay. Presently I think Spain just paid today for Middle-earth, but we're still waiting for the Spanish to pay for bolt action sort of stuff. We're still waiting for other people. There are some that helped us out really well by paying earlier in the year, which was great and all of that. But we won't know exact numbers until the end of this month. And then we go back to the hotel, we renegotiate the contract we have with them if we haven't aspired to hit the number that we said we would regarding hotel rooms. We go to the caterers, everything else, and then it's all the small parts on top of the cake that need to be sorted out, but can't be until we reach that milestone of how many teams we actually have coming. But I reckon between 42 and 46 is the present achievable goal, which is great. Great.
Yeah. That is a lot of people. It's a huge event to set up, so I can completely understand that would be stressful. It's a lot of work for that many people. I mean, people listening at home, if you're not going to the WTC, remember each team is 4 people, plus the TOs, plus everything else. Everything is just it's a lot of work. Yeah.
It is. And coming back to the TOs, I need to orchestrate with them their flights, their accommodation, any dietary needs, etc., how they're getting from the airport to the venue, etc., and back again. And so all of these are things that need to be put together. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So can you lift a little bit of the veil for what's going to happen next year, going on from 2023? What's going to happen with the WTC?
How much time have we got?
Maybe give it less than an hour if you can.
Less than an hour? Sure, yeah, I can talk for an hour. Right, so the IGE is a not-for-profit business. We're a company. Our plan is to eventually achieve charitable status, and when we achieve that, and even before we achieve that, we wish to be able to help communities. So we've done the community prize, and that's still in process, and we've got a social media guy who's working all the logistics there to try and get all of the publicity ready in place before the funding goes out. Next year, we want to try and see about helping teams that can't come. Specifically, we'll say Brazil or Chile or Canada or stuff like that, where it may not necessarily, or in various aspects of Africa. We want to build the world community. We want to help that to build. So where we go with that is we can't do that without charitable funding or becoming self-sustainable ourselves. And so the self-sustainability is my key drive at the moment. So I'm looking at setting up UK and French events. Let me explain. So in 2024, we have the plan for the IGE to run the very first bolt action tournament with a cash prize fund of £1,000. That goes to first place. It'll be a singles 2-day event. It'll be run in the UK because it's easy for me to transport materials around. And when you hear how we're going to expand this, you'll understand why I wish it to be in the UK initially. Not only going to do that for bolt action, we're going to do that for every possible system. Okay, so we have in March 2024, we have bolt action capped at approximately 50 players, and we have Star Wars Legion capped at approximately 50 players, all in the same venue, and each system has a reward of £1,000 to the winner. Trophies to second and third place. Eventually, if bolt action through this expands and we end up having 100 players, then we will expand it to a £2,000 cash prize divided between first, second, and third.
Yeah.
Now, that opens up.
Now,
yeah, sorry, go on. I'll let you make the statement.
That does open up a whole can of worms, because a lot of people are going to be sitting home and going, cash prizes? at a gaming event for bolt action for Lord of the what Ark. So how do you what do you think about that whole? Because some people will be worried about this, about money changing hands at these events and what that will do.
Of course, of course. So my first port of call was to start contacting the Gambling Licensing Authority here in the UK and establish with them that it's not an aspect that is licensable. Hence, we are free to do it. Okay, because
Yep.
it's not classed as gambling. I have been to many, many tournaments in my life. My wife, every now and then, throws out some trophies I've gotten to make room. Okay. And so I have seen both the pleasant and the unpleasant side of people playing to win plastic toys.
Yeah.
And they have played, as I'm sure you've experienced yourself, there have been some games and tournaments you've played where you thought, I hope I A, never meet that person again, or be in this environment again. Okay. And that's usually over a little certificate, a piece of paper, or a box of plastic toys that it would have been cheaper sometimes if you'd gone away and bought them and not gone to the tournament. But, you know, it's the joy of going to tournaments. So why do people go to tournaments? To socialize, to test out their mental mettle, against opponents. The fact that we're bringing a cash prize into it is because I want people to be able to turn around and go, darling, I'm going to a tournament next weekend. No, you're not. There's £1,000 cash prize and I might win it. I'll pack your bags for you. Let's make a holiday out of it. I'm not saying that that's going to happen to everyone, but I think that it's about time that we brought a form of professionalism into gaming because we're doing it on a weekly basis. People in that who are listening on your media go to sleep dreaming about lists. Wake up dreaming about painting.
They do.
You know,
They do. Yeah.
they do indeed. We're nerds and proud of it. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yes.
And why shouldn't
Yes.
we have the availability to tap into cash rewards? Now, let me explain how I'm going to financially do it. Okay.
Yes.
The ticket price.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, shall we? Okay. The ticket price is £50 for a 2-day event. We will be looking at somewhere between £700 to £1,000 will go to the venue hire. Okay. We are looking at £1,000 to go to first place prize. That's €2,000 out of 50, which is €2,500. So there's a €500 or £500, should I say, profit margin. We've got two systems going, so that equates to another £1,000 prize. So we're £5,000. So another £1,000 prize, which is €3,000. We're now left with €2,000 because we're only paying for the venue once. That €2,000 goes into the IGE bank. It is our cash flow that allows us then to help and establish players to come to events in 2025 and to start passing money out to charitable organizations that can help kids, can help mental health issues, can do a lot. I'm planning on doing 7 of these, well, between 5 and 7 of these in 2024 and 7 of these in France in 2024. And £1,000
That is a
cash
lot
prize.
of tournaments. That is a lot of tournaments to run.
It is 2 a month from March through to September, October.
Yeah. So if you can make that work, I'm really going to be looking forward to seeing how that works out, to seeing how people react to the cash price being introduced, to seeing that many professional, can we say professional
Yeah,
tournaments
yeah,
going on, um, and how that is going to, if you're going to like reach the 50 players and all of that, that's going to be amazingly interesting. I would definitely want, if I can put my ticket in the hat here. Not only would I want to go, that is
yeah,
of course a given, but if I can't go because wars and economy and
yes,
stuff, I
yeah.
would definitely want to try and cover some of that. So if you can send me whatever you can.
I can indeed, indeed, Graham. I mean, look, the bottom line is that people will think that, oh my goodness, it's going to destroy my hobby. The WTC didn't destroy your hobby.
No,
Um,
no, it's the opposite. It brought a lot of other people into it. Yeah.
yeah, and people will travel. People will be interested. People will try. You know, it could well become a UK international event, which is why I'm keen to then start looking at France as well,
Yeah.
because I don't want it to all the big events just to be in the UK, which
Yeah.
is the concept that I created when I first decided to run the ETC, now WTC. I
Mm,
want it mobile. I
yeah.
want every nation to have a chance rather than excluding people because they can't always travel.
Yeah.
That's the first part of 2024. Um, the first part, yes. I will add to that. So we're looking at systems like Bolt Action, Star Wars Legion,
Yep.
Middle Earth,
Yep.
Age of Sigmar, 40K, potentially Blood Bowl, X-Wing, and there's a couple of other systems there as well. My idea is that the first year we combine two systems into one, meaning that we'll hit 50 people per system easier.
So
But then 2000,
100 players per event, two systems per event.
correct. For 2024, 2025, I think that will generate enough interest to take Bolt Action, Star Wars Legion, 40K, Middle Earth, etc., to 100 players.
Mm.
And then we'll be looking at larger cash prize. Yeah.
That will be then we're looking at something that's starting to become the biggest tabletop gaming events I know of.
Let's just say it'll be the biggest tabletop gaming run by an Irishman.
That it will
Yeah.
do.
Now, I do want to jump in very quickly. I will not be TOing any of these things. My
Yep.
knowledge of Bolt Action is here, well below the person who came last in any tournament.
Yep.
Okay. My knowledge of Middle Earth, which was very, very good, has deteriorated over time. I employ people. Now, employ is a strange word. We will be funding the TOs at these competitive events, initially at around £150 for the event, going up to £300 in 2025 as either expenses or them coming in as freelance professional TOs.
Yep.
So we are
Yep.
looking specifically, I'm looking out there at the moment for TOs to actually come and run the events for us with a team. We will have to set up a policy on what we're going to do when obviously cheating becomes something more of a
It can become a thing. Yeah.
yeah, it can become a thing. It happens in every event anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, at this moment in time, it happens in every
Yes,
event,
it
but
does.
because there's going to be money involved, our reaction to it needs to be different to what other TOs presently would do. We
Yeah.
will literally possibly have yellow and red cards,
Yeah.
which it's something we don't want to go down along, but there needs to be something in place.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we'll be writing out a procedure in 2023, ready for 2024. I think I've covered all of that. Now let's go on to the next part. We're expanding the WTC from a team event on the Saturday and Sunday to a singles event the 2 days before or the 2 days prior. And we're also expanding the WTC to a 2 weekend event. But don't fret, You don't have to spend 2 weeks in a country not of your own origin. What we're going to do is we're going to maintain a 2-system process.
Yep.
For instance, bolt action and mid-alert. And therefore, what we're now looking forward to is venues that can hold up to 200 players.
Yeah.
Rather than expanding into new systems and suddenly going looking for places that can hold up to 1,000 players. So we'll go across on, we'll say, the Thursday, Friday, set up for the weekend event, for instance, bolt action and say bolt action and Star Wars Legion. Okay. Yep. And then on the Monday, Tuesday, there will be an open player event. Oops, that's my battery. Okay. There will be an open player event, singles.
Yeah.
And the teams can participate in that if they so wish and make it a long gaming holiday.
But you could also basically just go and participate in the singles event.
Yeah, that's why it's an open singles.
Yep.
So you could well have from your fair country 10 people going to the event, but 4 may only be going to the team event.
Yep.
You know, there's possibilities, but it also opens it up for the countries we're in. I'm flying to Poland in January, to Bydgoszcz, to look at a venue there with Lucas, because for 2024, we're looking at going to Poland, and we will be looking at that location for the 2 weekends. So Monday, Tuesday will be the singles. Wednesday, I'll have a day off. Then Thursday, Friday will be the singles for the next 2 events, which could be Star Wars Legion and something else. And then they will play on the weekend, the Saturday and the Sunday, the team event. I am looking at juggling the TOs for that as well. So basically you'll have the TOs who run the team event, and you'll have the TO team that may well run the singles event. Yeah. But that's all logistics we're looking at.
Yeah. That is very interesting news. WTC expanding not only systems, not only into singles, but also expanding in time and right.
The thing is, why not?
Yeah.
You know,
why not?
There are more gamers in the world than we know.
Yeah.
So why don't we just open the door and let them come and play?
And there's a lot of cross-contamination, you know. People get inspired.
Well, I'm glad that people get inspired, you know. Talking to you, I want to go away and play bolt action. Yeah. Talking to somebody else, I want to play X-Wing. It's great. Yeah, it's great.
It is.
And they're beautiful communities. They're beautiful people.
Yeah.
Sound like Al Murray, the barman. Beautiful people. Beautiful people.
So what are you keeping in mind when you're thinking about host nations and host locations?
Right.
How do you choose that?
That's been the biggest stress of my life. An example is 1 year I was looking at going to a country and things didn't develop. And in the last moment, I had to make a choice between Cardiff and Poland. So I went to Cardiff because it was easier for me to get to, with a promise that the next year I'd go to Poland, which I did, and hence bolt action came in. What I've now decided to do is, rather than me setting out my stall and saying which country wants to host us, how can we do this, I need to come and look. What I'm presently going to do is I'm going to return to the previous countries we've been to. Yeah. Okay. So Poland, Germany, Ireland, Spain, and obviously Wales. But I will be open to be approached by a country, but we'll have to set out a criteria of what that country can offer. And we'll say, if you said, can we do it there? I'll say, yes, we can, but you need to be able to fulfill these objectives. And if you can fulfill those objectives, then you've made my job easier, because that's been one of the biggest stresses. As I said, one year, it was like 3 months before the, it was like 6 months after the previous event, and I still hadn't got a location for the next year. And I just didn't know what to do. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, because I need to jump on a plane. I need to go over. My social media guy, Will Champion, it says I can't put any more photographs up like that because I look terrible. Sat on the train going, I'm staying, or I'm flying to Poland, or he said we need to be a bit more professional, Dave. So you're not going to see many more photographs of me in a deteriorating state as I trip off around Europe or the world. But that's the plan. We're going to go to where we know initially, but open. So I know that PA in France wants us there in France, and we've given them a time frame to come back to us with a French location and a French possibility.
Right. I think that was what what I had on my schedule for our talk today, Dave.
Which you turned up an hour late for.
Which I turned up an hour late for. My bad. That was,
sorry, Fo. Sorry.
Really, really bad form on my part. Thank you so much for doing this, Dave. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and it's really a pleasure to be able to provide this information on to people who maybe think of going.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity. You are the first media social outlet that we've been able to discuss the 2024 dreams and aspirations. So let's hope we get some positive comments.
Let's see what happens, Dave.
But whatever happens, it's going to happen.
It is going to happen, no matter what we do. And I mean,